Okay, so what we've been waiting for, want to know what Katie's favorite neighborhood is? Katie, tell us, what's your favorite?
So, grand finale. Drum roll. It is.
All right, super excited for this video because today we're going to be driving around the top 5 neighborhoods here in Gainesville. And luckily today, my beautiful wife Katie is going to be joining us as a Gainesville native to share her thoughts and opinions of these different neighborhoods. So as soon as she hops in, we'll be ready to go. Oh, here she comes.
Hey,
Hey there.
there you are.
Yeah, are you ready?
Yeah, I've been waiting.
I've been waiting, let's go.
Let's do this.
So we're over in the first neighborhood, which is going to be the Duck Pond. Katie, I'm curious, what's your favorite thing about this area?
I love the unique character of each home and the charm that they have. The landscaping, the mature trees. It's just a very established neighborhood.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a lot of older homes. Most of them were built around 1920, some even before 1900. So you definitely will get that small town charm, downtown feel. I'm curious, what about the actual location over here in downtown? What do you think about this part of town?
It's not a place that I come to often. I don't have a ton of business down here or errands and that kind of thing. And as a mom, the errands are what I do. But the area itself is just really cute. It's probably the best way I would say it. It's just adorable. Some of the homes are a little bit more, neglected, I guess.
Okay.
It's a lot to maintain these homes. But then there's some that, people put their whole heart into it and they look amazing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the customers I work with that want to be in this area also work in this area, and they're hoping that they can bike or walk. And it would definitely provide that if you're working at Shands. You have some of the offices or attorneys' offices downtown, but it's definitely a beautiful area. Homes over here will range. If you get like maybe just off of the duck pond, something that hasn't been fixed up, you can find on the lower end around 300,000. But then these beautiful larger homes that have been completely restored, those are going to be up over even $1 million. So there's definitely a wide range in prices. Like I mentioned, most of them are going to be built early 1900s. And then when it comes to the actual house size and lot size, that's probably one of the downsides where I probably couldn't see our family living over here, is the yards are just going to be a little bit smaller, anywhere from like 1/10 of an acre, 1/4 of an acre is going to be on the largest size. Then the actual homes themselves can range, 1,200, 1,300 square feet on up. The big ones, I mean, you see some homes over here that are 4,000 square feet. So definitely a lot of range and a lot of options in this area.
Yeah, definitely. If, for us, 3 boys, always outside, always doing sports, this type of neighborhood doesn't lend itself to kind of, having that lifestyle.
Would you say that's the primary reason you couldn't see yourself living here, is because of the lot sizes?
I would say at our stage in life with our 3 active boys that, yeah, pretty much. There are a lot of great parks nearby.
In addition to that, I mean, if you look at our daily life and the activities we do, the things we do with our kids, pretty much all of that stuff takes us out, on the west side of town. And if we wanted to do all of that same stuff while living in the duck pond, it would be, an extra hour of just drive time back and forth. And that would definitely get old pretty fast. What would you say the biggest con to the downtown area is?
For me, it would be more crime.
Really?
Crime is probably a factor that I would take into account. Because there are so many side streets and so many ways to get in and out of this area. And so I think it just feels like there's more susceptibility to, people driving by your house and being curious and wanting to see, what you have. And so I think when you live in a designated neighborhood with one way in, one way out kind of factor, I think that makes a big difference. Because it's a beautiful area and because people downtown tend to commute more via, you know, moped, bicycle, that kind of thing. Like that also lends itself to just having more general people, which, you know, people aren't a bad thing, but it's just
it's a numbers game. I mean, there's a certain number of people who are willing to commit crime. The more people in an area, the more the odds kind of start to stack against you, I guess. So then after all of that, who do you think is the ideal homeowner, the ideal person? What do they look like, that person that lives in the duck pond?
Well, I think most of these homes are probably for more established families or folks that have lived here for a long time. Maybe they inherited their home. And so, or maybe they've moved here and a historic neighborhood is just truly their passion.
Yeah, I mean, one of the other downsides you would definitely want to take into consideration is you probably need a higher end budget to go ahead and buy something that's completely renovated and fixed up. Or if you're trying to get in on the lower end, be prepared for the amount of work and effort, time, money it's going to take. And then on top of all that, I mean, some of these homes are in a historic area, so you have to petition the board to do certain renovations and get approval and go through, you know, a process to make those changes. And that, again, is just going to add more time to the project and more expense. So if you're looking to get into this area at a lower price and do the renovations yourself, make sure you're accounting for the time, money, and effort that it will take to go through the process in a historic community. So we've got a few more neighborhoods that are all the way across town, but there's one that Katie's actually pretty familiar with, so I'm curious to hear her feedback. That one's going to be Suburban Heights. So we're just getting over here into Suburban Heights. Katie, tell me a few of your favorite things about this neighborhood.
I love this neighborhood. It's pretty large. I don't even know how many homes are in here. Maybe 500, a couple hundred, I'm not sure, but it's it gives you a lot of options if this is like, you're like, this is the neighborhood for you. There's a lot of different homes to choose from. What I really love about this neighborhood is the homes. I like to think of them as like just a giant brick box that you can kind of like change the inside, renovate to make your own. The lots are a little bit bigger. And then they're it's more of an established neighborhood. What, probably 70s, 80s it was built.
Yeah, most in that range.
So, you know, for me, I love kind of more mature landscaping and trees in neighborhoods.
I mean, I definitely think you hit all the highlights, and that's what attracts a lot of people to this area, is you are kind of centralized in Gainesville. You're midway basically between the interstate and downtown, so you can get pretty much anywhere you want to go relatively quickly. And then that you are getting a little bit bigger lot. So most of the homes in the neighborhood are a third of an acre. Some are going to be even bigger than that. Compared to redoing a historic home, something this age is a little bit more manageable. You also don't have all of the guidelines, the association rules, all of those restrictions when it comes to making changes and improvements. So it's a really good option for a lot of people. Over here, the home prices are going to range, you know, in that 300. If it hasn't been updated, it's still all original and needs a lot of work, on up to, you know, closer to 600, a little bit higher if it's got a pool and completely remodeled. The home sizes will also range from about 1,700 square feet on over closer to 4,000 square feet. So for someone like us, who've got 3 boys, you know, 4,000 square feet is a lot of space. We're not going to outgrow that. So
I would say one thing that that I think kind of maybe deterred us from ending up in one of these homes was that we like a higher ceiling in a home.
Yeah.
And these are ranch houses. So, you know, you're not going to get that vaulted ceiling in most of them. You may come across like a unicorn where, you know, it's someone's either done it or that was the you know, architecture at that time. But for the most part, like, you're not going to get those high ceilings. And I think for us, that's what we really wanted.
Yeah.
But you do get the square footage, like you said. And so, you know, while you may sacrifice one thing, like you gain it in other areas too.
It's definitely a give and take, because we started seeing those higher ceilings after, as we got into the 90s.
Yeah.
So then that's the balance of finding where you're going to find a 90s or 2000 home that's on half an acre, right? That's in the middle of town, that's 10 minutes away from everything. So it is a balance, but that is something else. If that's the style you're looking for, maybe Suburban Heights isn't for you. We've got some other neighborhoods that we're going to check out that would meet that criteria. Is there anything else about the neighborhood, the location, the homes, anything else that would prevent you from moving here?
So I would say this is kind of in between probably some of the neighborhoods that we're going to go look at versus where we just came from with the Duck Pond area. But like I talked about in terms of that, through traffic, it's got a lot of streets into it. It's got multiple entrances and exit points. And so while I think it's a great neighborhood to go on an evening walk with your kids, it also has a lot of traffic.
Along those same lines, without a strict HOA micromanaging everyone, there's a range of maintenance, right? Like some of these homes aren't kept up maybe to the highest standards. So for some people, that's going to be a pretty big negative. For some people, they don't care and they don't want to be micromanaged, so it could be perfect.
You don't want a broken down vehicle, set off to the side. While there are code restrictions and enforcement, this neighborhood doesn't have a ton of those restrictions. So you may come across that in some of these neighborhoods.
Yeah, I will say the vast majority of the homes in the neighborhood are maintained, are very nice.
Yes.
There's only a few here and there that will stand out, but overall it's definitely a beautiful neighborhood with a great location, so there's not really much to complain about here. But this next one we're going to go to is completely different, so I'm excited to see what Katie has to think and get her feedback. We're going to go over to Oakmont in Southwest Gainesville. Okay, so we're over in Oakmont now, and Katie, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this neighborhood?
This neighborhood is beautiful. It's fantastic. It's not my favorite though. Gonna save that one for the end.
Yeah.
But it's a gorgeous neighborhood. It's kind of almost like two neighborhoods in one. I feel like you've got half of it that's kind of the, fancy homes, the multi-million-dollar huge lots, big houses, and then you've got the other side that's still gorgeous homes, but smaller lots, smaller overall. But then they both kind of meet in the middle with the amenities, which the clubhouse is unbelievable. It's kind of like you're in a different world almost.
This Oakmont definitely has the nicest amenities in town, between the pool, splash pad, basketball courts, tennis courts, the gym. I mean, they have a full-time coordinator who works in the HOA office, just planning all of their events. They do ice cream socials, Mother's Day, they do like nails with mommy, and like just constant events. So if you want to tap into a community and be surrounded by like-minded, similar people, Oakmont can definitely give you that.
Yeah, so overall, it's a great neighborhood. It's very beautiful, very manicured. You're not going to run into those issues of you've got maybe junk in the yard and everything's kind of in order and put in place. I think it's a perfect neighborhood. They've got that very community feel of, sidewalks lined with oak trees, to give you the idea of it, hence the name Oakmont. They're trying to build that community feel, and I think they've done a really good job of it. The houses are beautiful. They have some uniqueness to each one, so it's not 100% cookie cutter. You don't know which one you live at. They have some variety in architecture, paint color, models, that kind of thing.
One thing to keep in mind that would probably be one of the downsides, in my opinion, is going to be the backyard and the fencing. So here they do only allow the black wrought iron fencing that you can see through, and if you're not using that, then you'd have to use shrubs to provide some privacy.
Yeah, that's a good thing to point out, that, you know, if you don't mind being right next door, then this is a perfect neighborhood. If you're looking for something with a little bit more, you know, wingspan to not reaching out to your neighbors, then some of those older neighborhoods are probably going to be more in line with that idea. But
now, with that said, I mean, Oakmont does provide bigger lots, so if you're ready to spend $1.5 million, $2 million, you can get an acre,
yeah,
and have some space between neighbors and wear your pajamas to the car. Like, that's fine on that side.
Life goals,
yeah,
right?
so,
yeah.
I mean, you just have to up the budget a little bit. It's only money, though.
It's only money. Yeah. Money and pajamas.
One thing that, if you're looking online or if you're not in the area, you may not be familiar with, Oakmont was actually Gainesville's first CDD community. So if you're looking at homes online, you may look and see the HOA fee is only, I think it's something like $95. So something's off there when you're first looking, because what's actually going on is there's a CDD fee, and that shows up on your property taxes every year. So the majority of homes in Oakmont will have noticeably higher property taxes, but that's because the community is basically repaying the county for the amenities. So when the very first owner in Oakmont moved in, the amenities were already done. They didn't have to wait year after year for that pool to get finished or the playground. But it is kind of deceiving, you know, at a glance, because you think you're getting all these great amenities for such a low price, but the CDD fee usually adds anywhere from like $2,000 to $5,000 per year on your property taxes. So you're still paying that expense. It's just done in a slightly different way. But tons of positive things to say about Oakmont, but really excited for this next neighborhood, because Oakmont kind of replaced it as the shining gem to Gainesville. The original sort of best neighborhood in Gainesville, what a lot of people would have answered that question with, was going to be Hale Plantation, and that's the next one we're going to go visit.
All right, let's go.
Okay, real quick, if you're new to the channel, my name is Donovan Arnold, and I'm a local real estate agent here in Gainesville, Florida. I put out these videos to share with you exactly what it's like to live here. We talk about all the best things to do, the best places to live, and all the best schools. So if you want to make sure not to miss a single thing, make sure you go ahead and click the subscribe button. And if you want to get Katie in more videos just like this to hear what she has to say, make sure you hit that like button so we know you like it.
Go ahead, click it.
So we're still over in Southwest Gainesville. Now we're in Hale Plantation. Katie and I both grew up just down the street. So tell me a little bit about what you know about Hale Plantation.
It is a great community.
Yeah.
I think of Hale Plantation as a city inside of a city.
Kind of. Yeah.
It just is so large. I don't even know how many homes are in here. But there's so many kind of little niches, subdivisions right within Hale.
Yeah, I mean, so actually there's about 2,600 homes spread out across about 1,700 acres.
Wow.
So it is the largest planned subdivision in Gainesville by far. There are a lot of small subdivisions, small little neighborhoods with different names within Hale Plantation that will provide a wide range of housing options. I mean, you've got the Village Center with condos over there, and you can find stuff for a little over $200,000 if you're looking at a 2-bedroom condo, all the way up to, you know, more than $1 million for some of the larger, most luxurious homes. So a lot of range within the neighborhood.
Oh yeah. It's almost like you don't even think of it as a neighborhood. You think of it as like a suburb of Gainesville is kind of how I think of it. It really is just so spread out. I get lost in Hale every time.
It's easy to do.
It's so large scale, but Hale is just has, you know, walking trails and sidewalks and a village center, as you mentioned. They have a golf course. They have a Publix, kind of, I mean, it's called like the Hale Publix because
Right.
It's kind of just within their community. And so, you have a lot of little restaurants and shopping. And so it really is like a little community.
The funny thing is you're still not even that far away from the neighborhood. It'd probably take you 15, maybe 20 minutes if you're trying to get over to UF and Shands.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're that far away, but then you have everything super close by. So it's one of those neighborhoods where people do have a golf cart. They hop in the golf cart, go up to Publix, grab some groceries, and come home. That's not an uncommon sight. But again, similar to Oakmont in that it is very well manicured, maintained, and kept up. And it's just a beautiful area and a unique part of Gainesville.
Yeah, it definitely is going to give you that feel of uniqueness. Every home is slightly different.
So yeah, we like Hale Plantation. But what don't you like about the neighborhood?
I would say probably that the homes are starting to get into that aging point of needing, some remodeling, some renovation. The bathrooms are probably outdated. So you're kind of falling into that. Maybe the previous owner's done it, maybe not. And so now you have to take that on. So I think that's kind of a big toss up there in terms of like, the age of the homes within the neighborhood. And then also the HOA adding in, I've heard that it's a pretty strict HOA.
Well, you bring up a really good point with the HOA. Hale Plantation actually has 2 homeowners associations, and depending on where you're living in the neighborhood, it can vary in price a little bit. But the neighborhood is known for being one of the more strict neighborhoods when it comes to HOAs and what's allowed, what's not allowed. Some parts of the neighborhood, there's an improved plant list. So if you wanted to redo the landscaping in the front yard, you got to pick some plants off this list. If you wanted to paint the front door, like some of that, what ends up being a great, beautiful property, you are going to sometimes maybe feel a little micromanaged if...
Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, I mean, some people feel that way, and that may be why Hale isn't going to be a fit for them.
Yeah.
So that may be one of the downsides for a certain group of people. But they just have a lot to offer. We didn't even mention, every Saturday morning you've got a farmer's market.
Yeah.
So like just walking through that downtown village area, it almost takes you back to a simpler time when you just go pick out like your vegetables and meat and produce and that sort of thing from your local's farmer market, and then ride your little bicycle with a basket like back home and start cooking.
Yeah, it almost doesn't seem real.
No. Okay, so what we've been waiting for, want to know what Katie's favorite neighborhood is? But first, if you live in Gainesville now, down in the comments, let me know, what are your favorite neighborhoods? Where would you want to live if you were going to move within town? So Katie, tell us, what's your favorite?
So, grand finale. Drum roll. It is town of Tioga.
Nice. So we're finally in your favorite neighborhood over in Tioga. Now, technically, this is going to fall in Newberry, but it's just outside of Gainesville, but it will have a Newberry address. Tell us what makes this your favorite neighborhood.
I just love the feel of this neighborhood. It's not huge, but not small. Slightly newer homes. The design of the homes, the architecture, each one's just so unique.
Yeah.
I like some of the lot sizes on the newer side.
Right.
But overall, they're just beautiful homes. A little bit more, not modern architecture, but just updated. And they're just very beautiful. You've got the Tioga Town Center, so you still kind of get that community feel that you're looking for. You can walk up to the town center. You can take your golf cart. Yeah. They do, similar to Oakmont, they do a lot of events in here. Specifically, the Halloween event is huge.
It's gotten so ridiculous. So they have to bring in like off-duty officers to help with traffic because there are so many people that come in this neighborhood. I've had a few customers, and I try to warn them, but unless you've actually lived it, you really don't have any idea how many people are going to come knock at your door. And they had told me they had bought, I forget how many bags, and she said it was just an insane amount. There's no way we could go through all this candy. And within the first hour, she was tapped out. Like, there's just so many people. It does almost remind you kind of the duck pond, but just a newer version, because the homes are so different. It's not like one builder came in and did a few slight changes to each house to make them look a little bit different. They've had multiple different builders through here, but they did such a great job making each home really different, stand out, completely unique to what else is around it. But then it all just comes together in a really good way. So for the neighborhood, I mean, you can expect to find homes in that 1,700 square foot on the smaller side, on up closer to like 4,000. They've got some really large homes on larger double lots. But similar to the last couple of neighborhoods that we've been in, you know, you do have to pay a premium if you want that bigger lot and you want some space and you want some privacy. It's definitely going to cost you. The other thing I'll mention from the neighborhood, you're still relatively close. I mean, it'll take you a little bit less than 30 minutes to get back over to the University of Florida, Shands Hospital. You're kind of on that side of town, the southwest side, where it's pretty close to Target and all the shopping and dining on Archer Road. But like you said, you got the Tioga Town Center out front. You can ride your little golf cart, stop at the Patty Cakes for a coffee, go next door to Dave's Deli for a bagel.
Get your eyes checked in between.
I mean, they've got everything out this way. So it's overall super convenient, just a beautiful setting. Well, and then when it comes to amenities, you've got some things to do in the neighborhood. They do have a pool in the neighborhood, tennis courts, a clubhouse. So they have some amenities to keep little ones or big ones busy.
Yeah.
A lot of the homes do have pools in the neighborhood, even with that. But overall, it's just a beautiful area that, I mean, I'm going to test you. Tell me the bad stuff about Tioga. Like, what, is there a reason why you wouldn't want to live here?
I will say, okay, I've got one for you. They added a road to the back of Tioga. Before, the only way you could ever access Tioga was at the front off of Newberry Road, State Road 26. Now they've added this amazing, convenient road in the back, which has brought a lot more traffic and a lot more of folks through the backside. So though the speed limit says 35 on the back road, you know, I've driven it plenty of times where it's not, and people don't listen to it. So, you know, that's a downside to further development.
So overall, Tioga is definitely a beautiful area. But Gainesville has a lot of beautiful neighborhoods. We could spend days just driving around talking about all the different options. Really, if you're thinking about moving to the area, the next best step would be to just give me a call. We can talk about your specific needs and your situation, and I can suggest the best options that are probably going to be out there. So give me a call, and in the meantime, what you should do is go ahead and watch these videos. I'm going to drive you around some new construction neighborhoods along with some hidden gems here in Gainesville that you probably wouldn't know about otherwise. I'll see you over there.